Okay, dear students, like yesterday we discussed something about large sample test and the introduction of we introduced certain statistical terms. So today again we are discussing some more poems. That is, yesterday we told population. What is population? That means for a statistical study we need to collect a large data, that whole data as a whole we call it as population, and from that population we find a parameter, and from that again from population we used to take a sample for better study, and what you are getting from a sample we call it as a statistic. Now some of the statistic or parameter we noted by certain symbols. So for a population we told we will find a parameter, and for a sample we find some statistic. Now for a population, if you calculate the mean we use the symbol mu, and if it is a statistic means if you are finding the mean from a sample, then we use the letter x bar there. Okay, then so mean of a population is represented by mu, and mean of a sample is represented by x bar. Then probability of a population is represented by pi, and for a statistic we use it the letter p. Then standard deviation of a population we use the symbol sigma, and standard deviation of a sample we use s. So s is a statistic to represent standard deviation of a sample. Then sigma square is variance of a population, and S square is variance of a sample. Now we'll see what is sampling distribution. So before going directly into the example, again if you do not understand what is population and sample, it's easy. Example is like your mother prepares some food. Okay, then to test whether salt is enough or sweet is enough, what she does, she just checks a spoon of that dish. Whatever the dish is, she just tastes a spoon of that dish. Then from that spoon of dish, she will get an inference that uh, the dish has enough salt, sugar or chili, whatever is required there. So instead of tasting the whole dish, she just tastes a spoonful of that dish. So the spoonful of that dish is a sample here, and the whole dish is the population there. So what taste, suppose she is telling that salt is less, then that quality of the dish is defined by that sample spoon of that dish. Okay, so that spoonful of that dish is the sample, and the whole dish as a whole, that is the population. Hope you understood it now. Okay, now sampling distribution, we'll see what is sampling distribution. So before going into that, I'll just tell you one more example. Suppose you have a population distribution. You have a population distribution. Okay, suppose we have a distribution of say 5, 6, 7, 8, some random numbers. Then from this population I can take certain samples. Say suppose I am taking a sample A which has 5, 6, 7. Sample B I am taking as say 5, 8, 8. Sample C I am taking as 7, 8, 5. Then this is the population distribution, that is 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of that population I am taking some samples. So samples obviously will be of smaller size than the population. Okay, so a sample of 5, 6, 7 I am taking here, 5, 8, 8, and here 7, 8, 5. Now if you find the mean of this, then the mean of this is around 6.5. And if I find the mean of this is around 6, this is almost 7, and this is 6.66 are the mean. So here population mean is 6.5, and here the sample mean you are getting as 6m, means in and around this 6.5. Okay, so now here what we have done is population we have taken, from that you have taken some samples, then this, from that sample you are getting this statistic. Okay, then sampling distribution of these means, distribution of these means, we term it as sampling distribution. Okay, so from a population, what we did, from population you are taking so many samples, you are taking so many samples here, then from that samples what we do, we find sample statistic. Here also we find sample statistics, here also we find sample statistics. Then the distribution of this sample statistic is called as sampling distribution. Okay, so distribution of sample statistic is called as sampling distribution. So sampling distribution is a probability distribution of a statistic. How do you obtain that? We obtain that through a large number of samples drawn from a specific population. So we consider a population, from that population we take so many samples, from that samples you calculate some statistic like mean, standard deviation, something like that, then distribution of that sample statistic, you call it as sampling distribution.